In today's video, I'm going to show you how I make these simple little jigs to drill straight holes into the side of my 18-19mm timber and get nice straight holes for that. And then in the second part, I will show you how I have to adapt these floating shelf brackets, because this thread here is 7mm and that's quite an unusual size for us. We generally work in 6, 8, 10mm increments. So I'll show you how I sort that problem out. I have a shop on Etsy's. I make all kinds of shelves, but this is one of my floating shelves. And as you can see, we've got the holes in the back here. And basically this bracket will go inside for support, and that little piece there will go into the wall, whether it be a drywall or a solid wall. But first we need to drill these holes accurately so they don't burst out the back or the top. So let's do that jig now. So once I've found my pieces of scrap that I'm going to use, I like to work with something a little bit chunky, make it nice and strong. I'll rip this down probably in half, just so that I can get two clamps on it, because this will clamp to the side of my workpiece, and then I'll be joining on another piece to the side of it. So I would normally make that about double the thickness of my workpiece, which is about 18-19mm, just so that I can get some screws in it, get a good strong fixing on it. So once we've done that, we'll just make sure that our template or jig is nice and square. And then I'll just mark out the timber I'll be using. In this case, it's going to be 19mm. Now, I just have to find the center. And then I just check once again that it's nice and square. Then I just set that in position. Then I'll just check again, make sure you're square again. Okay, so now that I've got a jig done, what I will do is I'll just put on here the size. So that is 19mm, just so that I don't forget in the future, or that I don't get that wrong. It has happened in the past. Okay, so if you've ever been on Amazon and you're looking for floating shelf fixings, you probably come across these two types of things. It took me a long while before I settled on this one, mainly because this particular thing here, I don't know if you can see, but it's kind of lopsided. The thread is not centered, and basically when you screw in this up, instead of being perfectly centered, it's going to kind of do a oblongy kind of thing, and if once you've screwed it up, one side is up and then the other side is a little bit down, you're going to have you're not going to have a leveled shelf. The other reason was that this sort of diameter compared to this diameter, this one's a bit thicker, and I wanted more sort of meat on the shelf. I didn't want to have it too thin below and above this fixing. The other thing I noticed was that this is sort of like a wood screw, and there's not too many drywall fixings you can get for this particular. This, if you put a plug in the wall, in a solid wall, and you put that in, it'll be perfectly fine. But I'm not too sure how many fixings you get for a drywall for that, and I needed both. You do get the Duo Fisher plug, which I'm a big fan of, but I mean that is only one solution. But for a shelf, I wanted something a bit more specific for a drywall, you could say. And I settled on this one, and this just gives you a little bit more of an anchor behind the wall. The strange thing about this particular bolt that I use, the thread on it is an M7. Strange. I think it comes from China. I think they're made in China. I'm not sure why they use an M7 thread. So let's look at how I adapt the 7mm to a 6mm hole. So first thing I'll do is I'll just unclip that. So I bought these M7 tapers. They're like these threaded. They basically create a thread. And then what I do is I just basically put that into my drill, get it nice and square, and just ever so slowly go back and forth. Quite nicely. Yeah, and he's pretty good. He's pretty strong. And those of you who want to see a demonstration, we'll just pretend this little piece of wood is a shelf. Another thing I like about these is they can be quite tight, which is always good. So I just give it a little quick spin in the hole, and then you can pretty much slide in. Of the fixing and how that works. So basically, you'll drill a 30mm hole and create a bit of an anchor, and then you'll zip. They got zip locks on them, so you'll do that. Pretend this is and you can snap those off. I'll do have a little spanner here. There is your shelf. Obviously there's only one bracket in there, but if you had quite a few on there. Okay, another thing is why I use these fixings in this way is that I like the real solid wood thin shelf. If I'm going to have a floating shelf, I don't particularly like those real thick hardboard type things and those massive brackets at the back. It's just how I like it. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.